We are here with the great Marsha Warfield. She is great. A lot of you may know her from Night Court. Some of you recently may know her as Hen's mother on 911. But we were talking during the break, and before there was an Ellen, a Kelly, a Queen Latifah, Jennifer Hudson, Marsha Warfield had her own talk show on NBC.
How's everybody doing? Good. As you know, all this week, we are here with specialty audiences. And as you can hear from the sound of the raging hormones, my audience is made up of all teens.
Yes, that's just a little before there was a Wendy Williams. Before we get into this fading country, you being a pioneer, I mean, I think about our lack of memory. We were talking about it in terms of history, but we got like a lack of recent memory. Everybody acts like they're the first to do everything, and they're standing literally on your shoulders. Anybody that's a woman
standing on Della Reese's shoulders.
Come on, Della Reese had a talk show.
Della Reese had a talk show. Della Reese was had a daytime show, and the story is it got taken off the air because they didn't want to have it in the South. But what they told her was her gums were too dark.
What?
Yes, her gums were too dark.
1969, Della Reese had a talk show. Look at that. Oh my goodness, the Della Reese show. Thank you for that. I feel like we are so damn ignorant. It's not even funny. Why did they keep this from us?
She was also a guest host of The Tonight Show. She was a fill-in for Johnny Carson and would do whole weeks. I think it was before Joan Rivers. Yeah.
How come they don't talk about that, Marsha Warfield?
I don't know. We don't, we don't talk about, really, I think the elephant in the room for Black people that we don't talk about, that needs more talking about, is blackface minstrelsy. It's the foundation of American show business, and its vestiges are still prevalent in show business today. And it shaped a lot of our own thinking about ourselves because our entree into American show business was in a form that was designed to demean and make fun. It's a whole industry designed to mock and demean Black people. It's mind-boggling that it existed and that it's still cherished and a fond memory that some people want to revive in the modern America. And it's the reason why we think a lot of the things we think.
My father had a whole collection of Amos and Andy. Well, actually, I bought him a collection of Amos and Andy VHS for one Christmas because he grew up listening to them. And you just think about how codified those negative images. Hello, Kingfish. It's like my father would be cracking up at Amos and Andy, the black Amos and Andy, not the black face one on the radio. But those who were listening didn't know that they were not Black people. The original Amos and Andy were minstrels, white people in blackface pretending to be Black people on the radio.
They don't also know that there was a Black comedy duo that is suspiciously a lot like Amos and Andy, that Miller and Lyles did a Sam and Steve bit that did a lot of the misrepresentation of words and saying that we're going to have a bigamosity of proclamus or whatever the heck they said. But anyway, they predate and they were contemporaries. In fact, Miller and Lyles sued Amos and Andy and had support from many of the white show business people at that time saying, yes, you stole that. But I think Aubrey Lyles died. And so the suit got dropped and became a moot point. But there's a lot of history related to our show business reality that, I find needs to be explored.
Marsha Warfield is here. Did you have a Burger King or a McDonald's commercial?
Burger King.
You had a Burger King commercial and a talk show. So that means you were hot in the 90s.
I did a lot of guest shows, guest appearances. I was on Living Single and in Living Color and uh, Murphy Brown and Sybil and a whole lot of stuff.
But you don't get an NBC daytime talk show just going doing guest appearances. How did that come about? What did they tell you?
I was in talks with syndicator for a nighttime talk show. And I was going to have this talk show where we had a lot of celebrities, Black celebrities that focused on Black celebrities, and we would have a green room kind of situation where everybody could hang out. So in case we ran out of guests or whatever, there would be people there. And it was going to have an R&B feel. NBC, I was under contract to at the time, and they said, nope, we have right to first refusal. If we offer you a talk show, you can't take that one. So they offered me a talk show. I ended up on daytime, and that talk show ended up being the Arsenio Hall show.
Wow. I was just thinking Arsenio Hall when you said all of that, and I was like, that format sounds familiar and it would be very successful. So they basically took you off the board. Do you look back on that and feel not resentment, but like, oh, first of all, was the money good?
The money was okay. I've never been in this business for the money. Yes, I want to get paid, and I've made a bit of money, but I've always been in it for I love the art of it. I love the opportunity to try to change the conversation, to have some sort of influence, whatever it is, whether it's through jokes or whatever. Like I said, my heroes were Flip Wilson and Dick Gregory and Richard Pryor and George Carlin and even like people like the Smothers Brothers, people who said things that weren't just content with being clowns. And so that's the part of the business that's always appealed to me. And if the money comes, yeah, that's good. But, it's not the motivation.
Okay. Were the white powers that be, were they comfortable? Because your daytime show was not the nighttime show that Arsenio show was. And then he brought Farrakhan on and it was all over for him. Right. It's like, you are way too Black now. That's too much. You got to go. Did you ever have to think about, am I being too Black and I have to make sure I appeal to the, let me milk toast myself into acceptance?
I've always tried to fight against that, the go along to get along. Robert Townsend and Keenan, when they did Hollywood Shuffle, they did not lie. When I started in this business, there were still people saying, could you do it a little Blacker? And you would still get scripts with, yo, hey, say whatever. And you try to do it straight because nobody wants to walk in going, woo, wee. So you go, ooh, wee, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, no, could you do it a little Blacker? So we all did this. We all said, no, I'm sorry, I don't understand what you mean. Could you show me? And we would actually have people go, yeah, they'd get up and do these kind of walks and, like, little, no, thanks. And, you have to leave. I started during Blaxploitation, at the beginning of Blaxploitation. 1970, I started in 1974. And so the Blaxploitation movement was just exploding, and it started like in 69 with Sweet Sweetback, and in the 70s with
Melvin Van Peebles, and then there was Tamara Dobson
and the Mac, and Lady Sings the Blues, because Claudine, all those movies got put under the same umbrella when they weren't common at all. But at that time, I made a vow when I started. I said, I will never play a maid or a whore, because those were the roles that were available to Black women, maid, whore. And not would, I never did. In fact, I turned down some really, really good roles because she was a maid or a whore. And I did not want to be that. And so, yeah, there's always been the choice. You have to make decisions. You have to decide whether you want to be rich. And if you want to be rich, you just pick an Amos and Andy stereotype, a minstrel stereotype, and be that. You can get rich doing that to this day. Or do you want to have something to say? Do you want to be more than just thug number two? And I always wanted to be more than that.
Well, you certainly are. And I'm grateful for you making room for my ignorance and not knowing that you had a whole ass talk show, not knowing Adela Reese had a talk show. I mean, come on. Monique had a talk show. I thought it was a very good nighttime show after Arsenio. What do you think about the trajectory of her career right now?
Monique is standing up for what she believes in. I ain't mad at her. You know, she's and she's in more ways than you know come up victorious in most of her battles. You know, she doesn't really end up being shown to be the problem. And because she is a woman and a Black woman and a righteously angry Black woman, even Black people start to, you know, you're doing too much. She's not doing too much. She's not willing to go along to get along. She's saying, no, this is not right. I have an Academy Award. That is currency in this industry. You cannot insult me by lumping me with people who don't have an Academy Award. And she's absolutely right about that. And she's absolutely right to stand up for what she believes in. I support her 150%.
Okay. I supported her right up until the ad hominem attacks on D.L. Hughley's sexuality, his dog, and his children. I'm like, we have words that we can use. We don't have to demean somebody to make a point. That's just how I feel, unless it's Lindsey Graham, Mitch McConnell, Donald Trump. Like there's a list of people that we can demean to make a point. I think we need to be more mindful of one another and then the larger public and how they perceive that. We can argue, fuss, and fight, but I think there's below the belt. And I think
she apologized for that.
She apologized if she hurt anytime you start if I offended you, you know damn well you offended. Be righteous in your apology too. That's how I feel, Marsha Warfield.
We don't know how to apologize. We don't know. None of us. We're not taught. We're taught not to accept responsibility or blame. That's the message we get. So we don't know how to apologize.
All right. Public service announcement, Karen Hunter show listeners, real simple. You make you do something wrong because you know in your spirit you've done something wrong, said something wrong. Say, I'm sorry. Not if I did it. I'm sorry that I did that. Please forgive me. You ain't got to use a whole lot of words. Just, no. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. You ain't even got to say it won't happen again because you know damn well it might. But apologize in that moment because what you're doing is validating somebody else's feelings. And everyone knows when you hurt somebody, you know, when you cut to the quick and you know that person knows. So acknowledge that, yes, I did that. I apologize. I'm sorry. Please accept my apology. Please forgive me.
There's another step though that we always miss. And that's what can I do to make it right? Because you have to have the approval of the other person. I hurt you. I know I hurt you. What can I do to make it right? Or if you know that, hey, I know you're involved in this charity or this whatever, I've made a donation in your name, or I've done something to try to make amends. There has to be an action. Just words, no matter what the words are, they're not good enough.
I agree. Smith, give her a ding for that because that was the added caveat. Yeah, and now we have, you can never say you don't know how to apologize. Karen Hunter and Marsha Warfield have given you the blueprint. It's so easy. And it really doesn't take anything away from you. I don't know why we feel like somehow it diminishes us to do that. Like it really does not. Matter of fact, I feel empowered when I'm wrong and I apologize. It's like a relief. Whew.
Yeah.
All right.
Because we have a very individualistic society and all that kind of stuff. And we don't have we have a system of competition and not a system of cooperation. And then again, we in this pyramid that starts with racism, white supremacy, white male supremacy, male supremacy. There's a hierarchy, and it's up here. So we don't know these things because we're not taught how to get along with each other. That's why we don't have conflict resolution. Most of the things we have conflict about that end up being too much are things that if we just had the tools, it wouldn't be a big deal at all. But people end up getting shot and houses burned down over stupid stuff because we don't know how to cooperate.